Garden Gurus Live is brought to you by Garden Express and Troforte. Garden Express are Australia's leading mail ordering service, offering a wide range of quality gardening products. Each week on the Garden Gurus Live, the team at Garden Express will share a weekly offer. So make sure after today's show, you jump online and visit their website.
Troforte is the leading supplier of controlled release fertilisers and micronutrients, and it's committed to delivering environmentally friendly solutions for your garden. Each week we'll be giving away a Troforte prize pack valued at $250. Simply follow, like and comment the weekly code word on Troforte's Facebook page. Wow. Hello. How you going? Welcome to the Garden Gurus Live. I'm Trevor Cochrane. It's great to be here with you. If I sound like I'm puffing, it's because I've been running around doing crazy things as we build up to going live. And we did have a little technical issue earlier on, which slowed us down, but we're here. And for the next hour, I'm here to answer your gardening questions. We have got also some amazing prizes. I'm really excited about these. Today, you will have the chance for the $50 Garden Express gift voucher, which of course is absolutely sensational, and that's our great friends at Garden Express helping us out each week to give you something very special for coming up with some pretty amazing questions. The big one, I suppose, each week is Troforte. Every second week we have a Troforte garden gift hamper. And it's pretty much all the fertiliser your garden's going to need for, well, the next year. So it's a really good prize, and we will share the code word with you and tell you how to enter at the end of the show. But the big one today, and it's a really, really big one, if you've been following the Garden Gurus, we've been running a competition, a chance for you to win a trip for two to Singapore to, well, experience one of the most remarkable cities on the planet, or countries on the planet, I suppose, particularly with tropical gardens. They are just amazing. And today, thanks to our friends at the Park Royal Hotel, and that is Park Royal, I should say, Pickering, and also Marina Bay, where you will be able to stay. The other thing is that, of course, there's the ability, obviously, to fly there from Singapore, from anywhere in Australia to Singapore with Scoot. So there's a bit going on. So of course, also over the weekend here in WA there was the Kalamunda Garden Festival. I believe it was pretty wet. I was on my way to Melbourne at the time, but the winners of that have actually been announced as well. So we might share that with you a little bit later on, just in case you missed it. Now, of course, this is all about answering your gardening questions, which is exactly what we will do. But I just want to make sure that you do tell me where you are coming to us from. Really important. If you can tell me your state and the town, it really helps. It's a big hello to everybody who's saying hello at the moment. It's great that you've joined us. Really appreciate it. It's really some lovely comments there. I do want to go straight to my good mate, Rowan, who is from Garden Express, because he has got a pretty darn cool offer this week. I'm pretty excited about it, mate. I think these might be going into some pots in my garden as well. So how are you going?
Yeah, really well, mate. Cold, but really well. It's really cold here today. We've had some really nice weather. It's been beautiful, but today, raining, cold. I think it's about 10 or 12 degrees. It's not very nice.
Yeah. I was in Melbourne on Monday morning for the Today Show, doing a cross there on gardening, and went out to one of my favourite garden centres out that way, Bay Road Nursery, which is always a beautiful place to visit. The weather was magnificent. Yeah. The sun was out. It was just glorious spring weather. And true to Melbourne's form, by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was raining and very, very cold.
Yeah, we had a couple of days like that earlier in the week, but now it's back to the middle of winter again. I think we've got some nicer weather coming up, but I think the weekend's going to be a bit miserable, unfortunately.
Well, look, I suppose reality for everybody at the moment is that we are moving into drier conditions. So gardens are going to start to dry.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's around this sort of time that we'll see a very big transition from those plants that love more temperate, cooler climates and will flower this time of the year beautifully, to those that really enjoy hot, dry conditions. And you seem to be, as always, about 2 steps ahead of the trend. You've got an offer that's pretty cool. Will sit with those water-wise plants.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be talking succulents this week. Beautiful little plants that are perfect for those conditions. So very easy to grow. Don't really need a lot of maintenance once you put them in. So as long as you don't keep their feet wet, they're pretty much indestructible. To the point where if you break a leaf off, you can generally plant it. It's going to strike roots and grow again. So
yeah, they
really
they do. Now, I suppose the thing for everybody is if you're in an area which actually is cooler, or maybe you've got heavier soils, those sorts of environments are not always the best. But even in cool climates, if you're going to grow them in pots, and I think bowls, when you get a nice bowl just all packed full of lots of different succulents growing in there, all the different shapes and sizes, they're just amazing. They really are. Everybody gets excited about them. And of course, this is the sort of thing that that you guys are well ahead of when it comes to the trends, right? So tell us about the offer.
So we've got a few offers this week. We've got some lucky dips. So these lucky dips, we've got a 5-pack and a 10-pack. They're going to come in 68 mil squat pots. So not huge, but ready to grow into
the perfect starter pot.
Good thing about it is they are lucky dips, so we're going to guarantee you're going to get 5 different succulents in the 5-pack, and obviously 10 different ones in the 10-pack. And as part of those, in the 10-pack, two sort of rare and unusual varieties, and in the 5-pack at least one of those. So value of the 5-pack is sorry, excuse me. My computer's now playing up. Value of the
it's $81.
Thank you.
$81. I've got it in front of me,
yes,
Rowan. $81. Wow.
That's the value of it, right? So we're going to give viewers that for 50% off, just $39.90 for the 5-pack.
Wow, that's a really good price.
It is. It's an incredible price. And then if you have room and want to grow a few more, there's also a 10-pack of variety, 10-pack available. That's normally $156 down to $78, so another 50% saving on that one.
Wow, that's a huge incentive for people who want to start. And as I said, these things, they grow, they love being in containers, so that they always do well in containers. But I mean, this is a really good opportunity for you to either do them that way, but when you're sort of thinking about 10, you could actually maybe get a couple of those lucky dip packs and get 20 and create a garden bed with them. They'd look sensational.
Exactly right. You could. And then on top of that, we've also got another little deal this week. In the vision that we saw there before, there was some nice white hexagon pots.
Yeah.
Three different sizes. We've got another pack with those the little ones that Bonnie was planting out there. So they're more of a plug size, a bit smaller than the lucky dip ones. You can get 5 of those plus the set of 3 pots that she's planting it out in for just $45. Sorry, $45. So you're basically getting the set of pots for free.
That's sensational. That's a great deal. Now, obviously, the great thing about Garden Express is that you guys, every week we'll talk, one offer, I suppose, typically, but you've got everything available, and particularly this time of the year, the website is overflowing with everything from edible plants through to Australian natives. And I know that this deal is pretty awesome, but I also know that you've got a pretty special Aussie native, very limited stock though.
Yes. So earlier in the series, I think it might have been week 1 actually, we talked about kangaroo paw. And at the time, you went out and visited Digby at Kings Park. Yes. And we put together a collection of 5 kangaroo paw, which sold out basically instantly. But as part of that breeding program, and we've banged on it about it a few times, there's a beautiful new variety that they've been able to breed called Masquerade, which is a beautiful blue-green colour, which at the time we weren't able to get our hands on. But I've got here a little bit of a sneak peek of a beautiful, healthy. I'm going to have to move back so you can see it. You can see
Wow, they're huge.
Flower spikes that are on there at the moment. Some of those are a little bit spent, but there's a lot. There's even buds coming through. So that's a 180 ml pot that we're going to have available next week for viewers. I can't let you in on the price just yet, but it's going to be a really, really good deal. And that's the plant you're going to get.
That's the biggest, most robust forms of that plant specimens I've seen anybody grow so far. They're magnificent. There must be 10 flowers on
there
that.
Is,
and
there's another 3 buds coming through. I don't know if I can show you guys, but look, there's a brand new one coming through there. So you're going to get that size plant sent to you directly to your door with all those flowers on it. But as you say, limited stocks. There's not going to be too many. They will go super fast. And
so people have just got to watch the website. Is that what you're planning? And you'll make an announcement when you've got the pricing sorted, etc.
Exactly. Sneak peek for all your viewers today. Be looking out on Wednesday because that's when it's all going to happen.
All right. Well, that's very, very good inside news. How just on insider news, I know that you've been doing really well. You've had lots and lots of people buying the stuff that we've done in the last few weeks. How did we go last week with the dahlias? I mean, we obviously have the sex appeal of Dave actually appearing and spending some time with me.
Yes, exactly right. It always helps, doesn't it? It was hippies last week. Dahlias are another week away, I think. But the hippies,
it was hippies. Sorry, it was hippies.
The single and the double that you were talking about last week, all gone.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Well, they're just so magnificent. You're right, and it's dahlias. I know that he was out digging them the other day, so that'll be an exciting one. I know there's a lot sitting in the system at the moment for people to be able to get their hands on as soon as they arrive.
I have a feeling dahlias is next week, so look out for those ones. They're super popular. They are online at the moment, but we've got a special deal for Guru's viewers.
Well, Rowan, I've got people asking questions left, right, and centre about what we've talked about this morning or this afternoon. It's been great catching up with you, mate. I will get on to all the questions because they are flowing through like crazy. There's some really good deals there. I suppose the most important thing is the best way to check it out. Just head straight to your website, gardenexpress.com.au, and you're not limited. As I sort of said, there's just so much available. It's quite a pleasurable sit back at the couch with a cup of coffee in your hand and soak it all up and work out what it is you want to do.
Absolutely, well worth it. Gardenexpress.com.au. Jump on. Can't go wrong.
24/7 and delivered direct to your door. Rowan, thanks so much, mate.
Excellent.
We'll catch up with you soon.
Always.
Have a good weekend.
You too, bud. See ya.
All right, see ya. What a lovely bloke. They do it so well, but there's good insight on that kangaroo paw. People have been killing for that thing. They just can't get their hands on it. I've never seen them in that size pot and obviously with that many flowers. So they'll be a real stunner. So hopefully if you're looking for it, you've got the inside running next Wednesday. And of course, succulents, jump on board right now. Get them while you can. That was a pretty good deal. Now, we are going to fly through a whole bunch of questions because you are throwing them at me left, right, and centre. Carmel Eddie in Baruga in New South Wales. I've got a real big block and it's undulating on a slope, and I'm thinking of doing a feature planting out our property. Can you tell me of a low spreading plant? Well, there's a lot of low spreading plants, and I suppose it's one of the things we were just talking about Kings Park. But I did this garden for Western Australia's Water Corporation over here. We planted it back in November last year, and it went through a real process. November is not a good time to be planting in Perth. We're going into the winter, into the summer, and we're getting really, really hot conditions. So typically it can be quite problematic. But I got some of the grevilleas, some of the chamalauciums, the beautiful wax flowers that have been bred by Digby and the team at Kings Park. They're really compact. So these are lovely low-growing shrubs, most of them not getting any more than about 60 centimetres. maybe 90 with some of them, but gee, they're really lovely compact plants. And of course, if you prune them, even better. So they're more the shrubs. And when it comes to sort of ground covers and so on, well, maybe the very best of this time of the year are the scaviolas, so the fan flowers. And there's a whole range of different types of fan flowers that are great ground covers and do really, really well. So that might be something to think about. You can sometimes buy them in tube stock as well, which means you can go and get a big bunch of them and then end up with a huge big flowing area. That's worthwhile thinking about anyway. All right, Annie Michaelides. I hope I got that right, Annie. Gee, sometimes I'm not good with pronouncing names. I do apologise if I messed it up. We live coastal. We've got a lot of limestone 2 foot under the soil and it stays damp. So we're unable to dig down. The plants aren't rooting well. What can we do? You probably need to look at plants that are limestone loving. So they're going to be wanting to grow naturally in alkaline soils. I'm not sure exactly where you are, but typically, any of the members of the Agonis family, the peppermints, and there's some really lovely ornamental ones too. Jarvis Bay and some of those varieties are just magnificent. So those kinds of plants will do very, very well. And there's certainly some things like wax flowers that we've just been talking about that are exceptional in those sorts of conditions. What you've got to do is choose the right plants for your conditions. And the ideal scenario is to start at your local garden centre, talk to the owner or talk to the horticulturalist and say, look, we've got this situation where we've got this real problem with limestone. So we're going to have alkaline soils. You might want to take a soil sample, ask them just to give you a pH test. And then you can really start to work out what it is that you can plan out. There's certainly plants that grow in those conditions, but you really do need to get the ideal right. She's in Ocean Reef, so she's actually here in Western Australia. So that's just come through. Thank you for letting us know. That certainly is my advice. And if you're in Ocean Reef, I would suggest you pop into Waldex in Kingsley or somewhere like that. Take a jar of your soil, so just scrape off the top, then dig down probably 100 mil, take a jar load of that soil in, let them test it, and that should make a big difference. Okay, so we've gone from Ocean Reef to Great Ocean Road. It's Carolyn PT. Hello, you join us on a regular basis. Thank you so much. Now, you've sent us some photos, and I haven't even had a chance to take a look. This is your lily pilly. What do I do with the fruit? And do you know which variety of lily pilly this one is? This looks like the standard tree, which I've actually got this one in my garden as well. This fruit makes the most amazing jellies and jams. So collect it. It's a very sweet, crisp, refreshing fruit to eat fresh, but exceptionally good for preserving. So my recommendation is to do that. We've certainly done that at home, and it's a great pleasure. And if you're really flash and you like cocktails and stuff, it's a really nice additive as a syrup into cocktails. And I suppose you can do that with mocktails as well. I've just never tried that before. But anyway, you can certainly give that a go. That should help, I hope. Jeannie Napier, you're in Beachborough. That's again back over here in Perth. We've got a few of the locals tuned in from Perth as well, not just in Melbourne and New South Wales at the moment. One of the lucky winners here, thank you so much. Oh, Jeannie, you won the chance to come to my garden. So I think we're planning to do it in the 3rd week of November. And I'm really looking forward to hosting you. I've never done this before. I've never opened my garden. It's always been sort of a bit of a private pleasure for me, I suppose. But in support of the guys at the Kalamunda Garden Festival, I offered that, and you were one of the lucky ones to win. So congratulations. You've got a good question for me. I've got 2 established Pink Lady apple trees, and I'm determined to get some nice apples from it. They form nice apples, but when we bite into them, they're all brown inside. What can I do to overcome it and have nice eating apples? Now, they shouldn't be brown inside. There's only 2 things that really cause that. So if you're getting codling moth or you're getting some kind of grub going inside the fruit, it'll cause that browning. Typically, apples don't seem to get impacted too badly by fruit fly. They can be impacted by dimple bug. So my suggestion would be that you're spraying probably with I've got to check that. I've actually got to check that I've got this right, but I would think that maybe Maverick is the solution, but you need to check the label just to make sure that it is registered for apples. Very effective against those kinds of bugs. The only other thing that can cause that is what we call mechanical damage, and that is caused by stresses. So drying out and the fruit literally stressing and causing it to basically rot on the tree. That can be quite a problem. So just make sure you've got consistent water, not too much, not too little, just a couple of drinks a week, nice deep drinks, and that'll do the job. But as far as controlling pests, that's probably what's causing the problem. Jeannie, I look forward to hosting you at my place. We'll keep moving. We're going to Victoria, going to Coburg. Sarah Penny, hello. Could you please inform me of this pest problem? All right. And here we go. Oh, and we've got ourselves, this is quite an interesting one actually, because these kinds of caterpillars get inside and they love snow peas. It's not just snow peas. They'll go for peas and they'll go for all sorts of things. You do need to spray this. It's absolutely critically important that you do it quite quickly because they build up populations and they will attack every single snow pea on your plants. It is a systemic insecticide that you need. You're probably best to have a quick chat to your local garden centre about the one that's most effective. You probably find maybe the thing that I would be recommending is something like Success. Success is a wonderful product from Yates. It does a great job in controlling these kind of internal borers that lay their eggs. They chew a little hole, lay their eggs inside, and then eat their way all the way down. Great photo, by the way. Thank you for sending that through. Nikki Roberts, hello. You're from Perth, I know that. And big hello to you. I have a young Elsh pomegranate that's fruiting. If I stake the branches, should I let the fruit develop or remove it and let the tree grow more first? If it's young, often if you allow young trees to carry fruit, which they will try and do, the fruit will never get to the full size. It'll be good fruit, but it'll be a smaller fruit. But what it is doing is taking a lot of the energy from the plant. And so what will happen is that the plant itself will not grow that large. It'll be quite a slow growing tree, which means next year you'll only get a few fruit again. So for 1 year's sacrifice of a crop and giving it a good feed at the same time, by picking the fruit off and then feeding it, you'll find that the plant will probably double or triple in size in the growing season. And that means obviously that you'll end up with a lot bigger crop next time round, and the tree itself will be ready to go. I've got pomegranates at home and they are just flowering. It's completely natural now. So yeah, I'd probably be picking them off in this first year or second year of the tree's existence and then letting it get established over the summer. Hopefully that helps and makes sense. Glenn Miller, you're on the Gold Coast. You're a great friend of ours. You've sent us some photos. Wasps, after several bites, the friendship's over. Yes, it doesn't look good. They love clothes hanging on the line. No nest can be seen. Help. All right. Let me have a close look at that. They do look like paper wasps to me. And paper wasps tend to get, so more often than not, you'll find their nest are in a spot that is protected from rain. So they get under the eaves of the house. Sometimes they'll get in amongst, if you've got rock walls in gardens and there's cracks and crevices in there, they'll get in there, they'll have their nests in there. They tend to be active as soon as the weather gets really warm. One of the best ways to control them is to actually use those yellow sticky traps. They're very attracted to bright yellow. So there's some of those that are available that have little protective netting around the outside that stop birds and things like skinks and lizards and stuff like that from climbing on, but will allow the wasps through, and they will stick to that. So my suggestion is that you probably go down that way. Glenn, good question. Thanks again for joining us. You join us every week, and we have been juggling our time frames a little bit, and you still seem to manage to join us, so thank you for that. Kerry Height, hello. Kerry, you're in White Gum Valley, it's over here in WA. Lovely part of the world, down near Fremantle, and it's got some beautiful gardens. It does have its challenges. Your question is, I have a ground cover camellia, and I'm wondering whether to use lupin or wood chip mulch. The other plants in the bed are sweet peas and a geisha girl. Okay. Are you able to help? Yes, I think I am. My suggestion to you would be that right at the moment, you think about probably using a wood chip mulch. When I say a wood chip mulch, try and get something that's been composted. All right, it's a little bit harder, but you want to lay at least 80 mil in depth in and around the outside. Now you don't want it to go up against the trunk of the plant as it comes out of the soil. So it sort of needs to go in and around everywhere else. Spread it, lift the ground cover camellia up, and it'll be very happy. Geisha girl will be fine. Sweet peas may not like it if you actually stack it against the side of them, because they get a little bit susceptible to collar rot, a bit of a fungal disease. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, Margaret Campion, hello. Belgrave, can be a bit cold, and you said, yeah, it's been a terrible cold day in Melbourne. Love seeing you at my favourite nursery, Bay Road Nursery. It is an amazing nursery. I love it. David and Justin and all the team out there just do an incredible job, and have done consistently for years and years and years. Well worthwhile visiting. You're very lucky it's your local. Trevor, I think my azaleas have petal blight due to heavy rain this year. Can I prune the bush heavily after flowering? Sadly, I can't pick off anymore. My mobility won't allow that, and what to feed them with. Okay, so yes, I think you should be probably pruning them. If you've got petal blight, it's actually not an insect, actually. It's a disease. So you need to be treating it at some point, but I wouldn't do it. I'd give it a prune after they finish flowering. It'll just invigorate some more growth whilst the conditions are perfect for that sort of growth, and it'll take out any sort of damaged sort of foliage as well. Do that, give them a feed, and use an azalea and camellia specialised fertiliser. We always recommend the Troforte one because it's a long, slow release, which is really good for these kinds of plants. They don't like a fast release fertiliser, so very, very good for them. And it's also the nutrients are stacked in the favour of producing more flowers, so it builds up with lots of potassium in the soil. It's really good for stimulating flower next season. And what I would suggest you do is probably around about May, you get them a spray with a preventative, what we call a preventative spray with a very good fungicide, and hopefully that'll get them through, and you won't see any more. But a good prune after flowering is a good way to go. Hopefully that helps. Maureen Piavacci, I hope I got that right. You're in Wollongong in New South Wales. In the Gong, it's great to have you joining us. How do you tell the difference between rough and smooth tree ferns? Which one can you cut and relocate? Okay, so it's only the Dicksonias that you can cut and relocate, just so you're aware. The Cyathias, any of the Cyathias, which they're often commonly called a rough tree fern, they're just, if they've got a long, narrow trunk, they're just not going to handle it. The roots, the little aerial roots that sit on the outside of that suck up moisture, just can't do it. They just don't recover. So you're only wanting to think about the Dicksonia genus, which they're the man ferns. They're the ones that sort of get quite sort of thick, and they will transfer. Smooth tree ferns, and I should say that sort of any of the Cyathias can be transplanted, so you can dig them out and move them. It's worth considering because they're a beautiful thing. I just was looking at episode 9 of the Garden Gurus. We're just in the final stages of producing that, and I opened it down by my creek, which has beautiful natural tree ferns growing down there. Cyathea cooperi is the variety that's growing down there. They just look sensational this time of the year. They're always so good. Hopefully that helps. Let's go to Jenny Elliott and Vincentia in New South Wales. Thanks for your previous advice on azalea care. Now looking beautiful after getting rid of the rust problem. Don't know how to send the photos. Send them to our info at guruproductions.tv email address if you can't get them through on Facebook. Love to have a look at them. But thanks for letting me know that. That's great. It's good news. That's why I'm here, to help you. Kylie Lee, now you're in Armidale, New South Wales. Let's have a look here. What plants grow best in full shade? Also, what lavender is best for cool climates, please? Well, most lavender do really well in cool climates. The Spanish lavenders are obviously pretty good. What they don't like is heavy soils. That's the bit. And they don't like shade, I should say that. So to just be conscious that that when it comes to lavenders, that is a bit of a challenge. As far as shade plants go, I was just walking through my garden over the last week and just taking into account what's doing really well in some of the shady parts of the garden. Depending on how much shade you have, obviously we just talked about tree ferns, and if you've got a heavy shade, then tree ferns probably, and you've got heavier soils or good moisture content in your soils, then they're a good option. I've got a lot of strappy leaf plants, and one of the ones that looks amazing at the moment are clivias, or clivias as Don Burke used to call them many years ago. The clivias are just a beautiful South African native, and they produce the most incredible flower displays in the springtime. And then the rest of the year, you get the benefit of really lush, dark green foliage and these beautiful flower heads that turn into seed pods on the top that turn bright red. And they're quite attractive in their own right as well. So clivias might be worthwhile taking a look at. I hope that helps, Kylie. Thanks so much. Now, I did mention that I've been spending a bit of time in the garden. I've been taking photographs. I've been sharing them with Shaylee. And Shaylee's producing again this week, does a great job. And she's picked out 4 that I'm going to talk to. So let's have a look and see what we've got on the screen, because I don't know which one she chose, which is really fraught with danger. Could be anything, right? How are we going here? Have we got some? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is one, we're talking about orchids today. I might show you. We built for the Garden Gurus here in our production facility a beautiful living wall, and I put orchids into that. Oh, and there we go. That's a living wall. You can see them. The Phalaenopsis orchids. They're from Bloomin Orange. I don't know whether you know Bloomin Orange. They're a plant marketer, international plant marketer that selects the very best genetics to get the very best performances. And I thought I'll do a Bloomin Orange wall today, and that's the outcome of what we did. And you can see Russell in there filming, but it really is special. And we used 3 particular plants. We used the Phalaenopsis orchids, we used the African violets, and we used what we call flamingo flowers, okay? And they're anthuriums, and they're just gorgeous. So that is freshly planted, and it will be probably twice as thick and bushy as that within about sort of 8 weeks. So I'm really excited about that. Lovely entrance statement when you arrive. So going back to this is also an orchid, but this is an Australian native. This is the Dendrobium orchid that you'll find growing in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland really well in forest, and great in shade. So number 1 highlight, beautiful vanilla perfume, by the way, that one, in my garden, and I've got it in pots. This one is the poppy, and of course poppies are coming through all over the country at the moment. They look magnificent, and it's just a particular variety that's just, it was a mix of varieties or colours that I chose, but this one, wow, look at it, isn't it pretty? Couldn't help myself. I took a photo of that one, and then this one. Right, now interestingly enough, springtime, you don't think of things like, often these sorts of plants, strelitzias, this is the bird of paradise, are thought of being sort of summer plants, and they will flower into the summer. But look at it. Isn't it a magnificent flower? And you can see how they get the name, the bird. If you look at them, it looks like a bird with its wings hovering, and it looks like it's either having a drink or alternatively, taking nectar out of a flower. They are magnificent. So I've cut a whole heap of those, got them in the vases at home. And again, this one's growing under shade, and they do seem to, in my garden, do exceptionally well in a semi-shaded position, producing lots and lots of flowers. So yeah, super cool. What else have we got? One more to go. Let's have a look and see what we've got here. Okay. This is the Hong Kong orchid tree, Bohinia. It is a magnificent plant, and it's full of flower again. And you can see how they get their name, the orchid tree, but it's not actually an orchid. It is a Bohinia, and a beautiful tree at that does exceptionally well, even in cool climates. So yeah, how cool's that? Now, I think I'm going to get on and just keep answering your questions. Jeanette Miller, hello. You are a good friend of ours. Pingelly, WA. And thank you. You said I did a great talk at the Gardening with Costa show, which was fantastic. Your Tamarillo branch with fruit had ripe fruit. Mine are getting bigger. They're green. There's a few little fruit and flowers. What's normal for this time of the year? And I have it in a pot, too scared to put it in the ground. As they say, they don't like frost, wind, and so on. And it's quite true. In actual fact, a lot of people think of tamarillos, that's the tree tomato, and they're a member of the tomato family. They think of them as a tropical, but they're not. They actually come from high areas in the Andes. And the interesting thing about them is that it's consistently cooler temperature. So you're getting all the flowers coming through now. You are getting fruit, but that fruit may not be ready maybe until sort of even June next year. They do take a long time to develop. Now, if you've got it in a pot and it's just growing along happily and it's been producing fruit, that must have come from one of the cuttings, because they will continue to produce fruit when they're grown from cutting. You've done really well, Jeanette. That's fantastic. And I don't think you need to change anything. You know that when you grow a plant in a pot, that the containing of the root also contains the size of the plant. So it's kind of like a natural bonsaiing effect. So don't be scared to do that. And then in 12 months' time or 18 months' time, if you feel the need, well, just take it out and plant it in the garden. They are fantastic. Small trees. They're really lovely. All right. Hopefully that answered your question. Dean Bennett, you're in Central Victoria. Got gladiolus up. They're weeks away from flowering, but none of my tulips came up at all. That's a real worry. What have I done wrong? I have fed them and my daffodils did well and they're in the same bed. It's really weird, but tulips do seem to like being lifted. If you have, particularly during winter, if you have quite heavy soil, they can get rots and sometimes all the bulbs will just disappear. Daffs are far more resilient, and gladiolus, which, you know, really they're a completely different kind of, they're a corm. They should be up at the moment. In my garden, I've got to start spraying them in the next week or two because they really get smashed with thrips, which spoils the flower. And I really didn't do enough hard work on that last year. And I kind of got some flowers that were just beautiful. I got some that were sort of a bit of a wishy-washy colour, and that's because of the thrips getting into the flower buds before the flowers can even open. So hopefully you don't have that problem. Maybe a little bit of preventative spraying might be the way to go. All right, I'm going to come back to Perth. Keng, I think you're in Perth, Keng. I'm pretty sure Keng Lo, Liao. I think that's a better way to pronounce it, isn't it, Keng? Sorry. How should I prune my sapodilla chiku fruit? Now, this is a really interesting plant. The sapodilla is often known as the caramel fruit. It's like a caramel coloured fruit for a start. But secondly, and most importantly, it's got a real thick caramel-like sort of syrupy sort of texture and flavour to it. It is super sweet. How should you prune it? Don't be scared to prune it. They're very, very hardy once established. So if it's getting to the point where it's getting a little unruly, prune it lightly. If you prune it hard all the way over, you'll affect your cropping. They do flower off first year growth. So if you prune all that off, you're not going to get a lot of flower this year, but that will mean that you end up with a more compact plant. So just work it out. But they are pretty resilient, so don't be scared to give them a prune. All right. Paul and Margaret Williams, you guys are in Victor Harbour in SA, beautiful Victor Harbour. I was just wondering if you could help with my orange tree. I have problems with the leaves and the fruit always yellows and drops off. Now that is odd. Now it shouldn't be yellowing and dropping off unless they're not pollinating properly, which sometimes can happen, but not all of your fruit. Can I suggest that you try something? And for everybody out there, as far as fruit goes, if you want to get really good fruit and sweet fruit, then this is a little trick. Now, it's called sulfate of potash. If you are in alkaline soils in particular, it is exceptionally good at encouraging better fruit set, bigger fruit, and sweeter fruit. Sulfate of potash. That potash is critically important in that process of setting really good fruit. It could be one or two things. So just that the other thing is about bringing pollinators in. Planting underneath citrus trees, planting borage is a really cool thing to do. They've got beautiful blue flowers. Most importantly, they attract bees in from everywhere. So hopefully that helps anyway. It's always one of those difficult things, but those two things should solve the problem for you forever. So get out and give it a go. Robin Shaw, hello. You got a finger lime question? I have one that would be at least 10 years old and has sulked in the ground for most of that time. Potted it up and it's grown very well, but is still just a prickly sod. I realise now that it's probably a seedling plant, which could explain its reluctance to flower and fruit. Is it worth persisting with it, or should I ditch it and recover the pot? You know, Robin, finger lines can be very temperamental. They take a fair bit of time to establish. 10 years is probably too long, but look, I've got one at home. I put it in, it must be 4 years ago, and it'd only be 60 to 90 centimetres tall. So it's not even a metre tall yet. Produces, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 fruit last season. It's not a lot, and they can be quite disappointing with how they go. I suspect it's probably not a seedling plant. I suspect it's probably grown from cutting, but they just take a long time. Putting them in pots is actually a good thing. They do seem to like getting the roots on the side of the pot, and it does get them to sort of jump up. So leave it in that. The big thing with these guys is they do like to be stressed during the dry season, during the summer season, which is actually when they produce their fruit. So don't overwater them. If you overwater them and you overfeed them, they'll put on growth. They won't necessarily produce fruit. So I always joke that terrible joke of mine. I've got all the terrible jokes, but it's a bit like a good husband. Treat them mean, keep them keen, and you'll find you'll end up with finger limes coming your way. So hopefully that helps. Okay, Donna Palmer, you're in Queensland. I've got 2 apple trees, which I read you need 2 for them to fruit. Recently, one of them's flowered, but the other shows no sign of flowering. Does this mean the one that's flowering won't produce fruit? Highly likely that it won't produce fruit. Now, there's 2 things with apple trees. One is you need to make sure that you have cool conditions. That affects fruiting. That's really important. They've got to have a certain chill factor. Your varieties can be varying, and that means that you need to treat them quite differently. You should have cross pollinators that match. So I'm not sure what varieties you've got here, but the fact that they're not flowering at the same time suggests that there's a problem. The good news is if you've got lots of bees in your garden and your neighbours have got some pollinating trees, you're probably going to get some cross pollination anyway, and you will get flower sets. So that just might affect the number of fruit you get, but most metropolitan areas across Australia now have got a lot going on. All right, okay, I'm getting the wind up at the moment, so it feels like time's really flown today. Let's fly through as many questions as we can. Greg Hines, you're in Wellington in New South Wales. How do you make an orange tree out of a grapefruit tree? Can you show me? Can you make lemonade and other citrus all in one? Look, you can actually bud onto an existing tree. That's quite probable and possible. You just need to obviously be able to do that. And it's normally a T cut in the bark. You peel the sides off, and you slide a bud in there. So the buds come off your grapefruit, it goes into the orange. Then you have to cut it and make sure that there's no shoots that come out outside of that. You want all the sap to go into that bud, and that bud will then burst out once it's taken and grow as a new plant. And that plant will be a grapefruit or whatever it is you want to put. You can do that on all the different branches. It's worth trying. It's a bit of fun. Graham Kelso, you're in Melbourne, Victoria. You're sending us some photos as well. All right, let's have a look at what we've got here. Oh, this is a good one. I really like this question because bamboo can be a really invasive thing. You've got a wall of bamboo, you've never had it before, you're not sure how to care for it. I'd like to feed it. What should I use? I'm not sure the type of bamboo you have. Right, I can't really tell from this exactly. It's one of the Philostachys, so it's just one of those lovely, what looks like a clumping form of bamboo. So what do you feed it with? You feed it with a controlled release fertilizer, and now's a good time to do it. Now, the interesting thing is you can use a general garden fertilizer, but you could also use lawn fertilizer. Bamboo responds really well to lawn fertilizers. So, a slow release fertile lawn's a really good example of something that actually works really well for bamboo. So anyway, that's a little bit of advice. And as far as how do you look after it, just keep it watered, just give it love. That's all you got to do. They're pretty hardy. Barbara Groves, I've got a We've got boysenberry plants. They've come up around your pink lady apple. How's the best way to get rid of them without damaging the apple? Thanks, Barb. Okay, yes. Barb, the thing I would suggest you do is you probably dig it out. I think it's better. You could use blackberry killer. You could use glyphosate. But look, if it's not too much come up, dig it out now and it won't be a problem. If it's already starting to really take off and run, then you might need to use one of those harsh herbicides. Sorry. Jody Wilson, New Mexico, Northwest New South Wales. Sounds like an interesting part of the world. Can you tell me what is best to use to kill soursop in the garden and lawn? It's starting to pop up everywhere and you don't want it. Okay, well, soursop is, it's interesting. It's actually very good for you if you add it into salads. It's obviously very sour. That's how it gets its name. But there is an actual use for it. The second thing I'd say to you is that in garden beds, best way to get rid of it is to mulch heavily over the soursop right now, as you're seeing it coming through, before it goes into flower. And in lawns, weed and feed sprays. They're the most effective ways. So just be careful. If you've got a buffalo lawn, you want to make sure you're using the right herbicide. So there is a weed and feed for buffaloes. Make sure you're using that. It's really important. Carol Hughes, you're in Geelong in Victoria. More photos. Too many beautiful things coming to life now, but I have these visitors everywhere. Are they bad for plants and how do I get rid of them? Okay, well, let me have a look and see what these visitors are. And I don't know that I can really see. It looks to me like you've got, I can see now. You've got some bronze bugs. So the bronze, so bugs of all sorts can be quite problematic. Some of them cause quite a bit of damage. Some of them are actually predatory insects as well. This particular one is often identified by being what we would call a stink bug. So they've got a very pungent, if you come in contact with them, they basically urinate on you and it's a very pungent smell. Best way to get rid of them, probably do something that's a little bit different to what most people would be suggesting. And I would suggest that you get garlic spray. They don't like them being pungent themselves. They don't like pungent smells. They tend to move on very quickly if you'll do a garlic spray. Now you can buy it or you can mix your own, but you've got to do it in a certain way. So you crush the garlic, you put it into water, you let it sit overnight so it intensifies, and then you spray it the following morning. But you have to mix it really agitated up with some white oil, ideally. So I'm trying to keep up with all the messages coming through too. You guys are having a good time. Big hello to everybody. Tracy Frank from Hilltop, Southern Highlands, New South Wales, of a row of Chanticleer ornamental pears just coming into blossom, underplanted with daffodils. What can I feed and when that will cover both? You know what? Good idea to feed them, won't hurt them. I would actually recommend that you use something like Dynamic Lifter for these guys. Believe it or not, the daffodils will benefit enormously from that, but Dynamic Lift is a very good thing for pears. They do love the chicken manure in there. It's obviously got a natural nitrogen, but there's also now in Dynamic Lifter quite a complex blend of trace element nutrients. So for that particular one, because they need a boost and they need a fast release, that's what I'd recommend. Jacqueline Oakley, you are in Melbourne, and I can't quite see your question at the moment. So there we go. All right, you're in Melbourne. You just got back from the UK where I saw a new hydrangea. Its name was Runaway Bride. Don't know the horticultural name. I've been trying to find it here in Australia and been unsuccessful. Where would I look for new plant varieties over here? Don't worry, Jacqueline, it's probably coming. I think there are actually Runaway Bride. I think it is actually here already. Where do you get it from? I would suggest you go down to Garden World. It's probably the closest one to you, and I would ask them to order it in for you. They will find somebody who is growing it for you. And if it's not available in Australia, I'm sure it's on its way. There's a lot of new cultivars being introduced on a regular basis. So, yeah, talk to your local garden centre. Nicola Thompson, I'm in Glasshouse Mountains in Queensland. My Plumeria pudica, Everlasting Love, is growing, but the leaves are very sparse. Also at the moment, they've dropped a lot and turned a yellow colour. They don't like the cold. It is, so this is a member of the Frangipani family. Little bit more tropical as a general comment than the Plumeria cutifolia. So it's a beautiful plant. The thing is, if you feed it at the moment, it may not do an awful lot. What can I do to make it more bushy? There is some green leaves, but not many. Definitely feed it. And I would be using, probably, to be quite honest, I would use Troforte, but I would use the one for flowering plants, for camellias, roses, etc. It actually works really well with Frangies, really good. So I'm sure it'll be really good for your Plumeria pudica, everlasting love. All right, now let's go to Marina Carvin, because I want to get through some more of your questions. I don't think we can take any more after this, but I'm going to try and get through these. Maria Carvin, Roselands, New South Wales, very concerned about the finger lime, and I'm getting conflicting information. The poor plant is not well. Well, hopefully the advice I gave earlier on is going to help, and that is that they grow really well in pots. The rest of the time, you just need to give them time to get their root system established. So feed them with root promoting fertilizers, not flower promoting fertilizers. You'll do really well. Any Michaelitis, Annie, lovely to have your questions. Thank you. You've just acquired dwarf nectarine and peaches about 50 centimeters tall. Do we need to restrict fruit from these? Is there any conditions needed? Yes, reduce the fruit. Answer is, do you need to do anything extra with them? I would take the fruit off this year, encourage them to grow, just feeding regularly. That's all you've got to do. It's not too bad. And Marcia Blake asks in Harvey, she's in Harvey, that's in WA, would you recommend sowing or starting peanut seeds, please? I've had a look on YouTube, but not sure the best technique for this legume. Absolutely, really good addition to a garden. Does bring some nitrogen into the soil, so it's quite a good green mulch, but don't do it until November. They do need warm weather. Hopefully that helps. And, all right, let's have a bit of a look here. I think Jeannie Napier might have shared a bit of a joke as well. I'll see if I can find that. What did the baby corn say to the mama corn? Oh dear, Jeannie, please. Where's popcorn? Of course. Wow, I love it. I love it. You know, those kinds of jokes, they really can grow on you. In fact, it sometimes makes you twig onto other jokes, and before you know it, people are asking you to leave them alone. So hopefully you don't pick that kind of fight with me, because I've got all the dad jokes completely well sorted out. The Troforte code word is, here we go, trellis. Okay, trellis. You need to go to their Facebook page. Make sure you like it, pop it up there, share it with your friends, because everybody deserves one of those amazing Troforte gift hampers. And let's go to the competition draw for our Garden Express gift voucher, hey? So this one, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think, actually. What's the best one? I reckon peanuts, to be quite honest. I think it's a really different way to think. Probably the thing that people haven't thought of before is that when you plant them, they're a green crop. So they're taking nitrogen out of the atmosphere, and they are literally, so Marcia Blake, they're literally putting the nitrogen into the soil. Of course, at the same time, you're actually getting a peanut crop, which you'd be harvesting in and around sort of May, June, in Perth anyway, or the southwest, which is where you're from, of WA. Congratulations. Now, let's go to probably the big prize. You're all wondering who won the competition to go to Singapore. The prize consists of a trip for two to Singapore, including flights from any capital city in Australia that flies direct to Singapore via Scoot. And Scoot's a great little airline. So a lovely, comfortable flight, really good way to get there. Obviously, you will then get to Singapore. You have got 4 nights. You're going to stay 2 nights at the Park Royal Collection Marina Bay, 2 nights at the Park Royal Collection Pickering. That is the hotel, the garden in a hotel and the hotel in a garden. These are remarkable hotels. The gardens are magnificent. And, you know, in the case of the Park Royal Pickering, that's got I think it's about a 16,000 square metre footprint with 18,000 square metres of gardens. So there's more gardens than the ground it covers. It really is an amazing experience. They are beautiful hotels. I'll tell you something else about these two places is the staff in these hotels are just wonderful human beings. They make you feel so welcome. So that is an incredible prize, and it's worth, I think it's more than 5,000 Australian dollars. Such a cool prize. We've had almost 12,000 entries for this competition. So to really make this work, you had to be quite lucky. They obviously all 12,000 had a red hot shot at it, but I thought, might just give you a little picture of this just so you can see, because you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. But this is the effort that got put in. People were sending through some amazing entries, absolutely huge amounts of effort. And I really, it's so hard for us to pick a winner, and it's a random pick. So the winner for this particular amazing competition, this $5,000 competition, flying to Singapore with Scoot, staying with Park Royal Hotels, is Colin Burt. Congratulations, Colin. How cool's that? Wow. Just love it. Absolutely love it. All right, so we've picked our questions winners. We've done all of that. What else have we done? We've talked lots and lots about questions. I think Shaylee has we didn't get through all the questions this week. Shaylee has written them down. She's going to make sure that the very first ones we do next week are those that I missed, so that you do actually get it as well. Yeah, I think everybody's saying congratulations, Colin. All just a little bit green at the moment with the envy, not ivy. And it's fully understandable. Well done, Colin. That's going to be great. We'll contact you in due course, and we'll organise your trip for you to go, which is fantastic. Now, Garden Gurus is on Channel 9 each week at the moment. It is Saturdays at 4:30 p.m, except for New South Wales and Queensland. And you guys seem to have got it. It's okay, which is good. You know that it's being broadcast at exactly the same time on 9 Live. So make sure you tune in. If you missed a show, you can always watch it again on 9 Now. It's a great way to watch it when you want to watch it. It's handy. And if there's episodes you missed, you can watch all of them in the series. So check out 9 Now if you haven't done that before. If you want to know anything more about any of the stuff that we've done on the shows, or even if you want to know a bit more about live, all you have to do is go to our website. You can download fact sheets, look at videos, or you can just join us next week as we obviously do what we do each week, and that is we bring you the Garden Gurus Live. It's been a real pleasure doing it again this week. We've got a big weekend planned ahead. I know it's going to be wet in Perth. Hopefully for the rest of you, you get a bit of sunlight and you can get out planting. This is the time to get into the garden centre and get all your goodies. I will be doing that tomorrow. I can tell you, I've got a whole bunch of plants that I am going to go and hunt down. So that's it. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Trevor Cochrane. I will see you again next Friday when we have another session of the Garden Gurus Live.